What's that? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to be here on this wonderful Saturday morning to discuss Water District business so we can continue to move forward. Notice of a workshop meeting with the Board of Directors. Notice is hereby given of workshop of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 19th day of July 2014 at the hour of 9 a.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on July 15th, 2014 at 2 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041-551-050, and a copy furnished to the county clerk at Cameron County, Texas. We do have the presence of a quorum. All the board members are present except for Jeff at this time. If I may please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, item 2.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone would like to start with any comments or anything before we get going?
I invited staff because there's some projects and information that they can advise us that we brought the rates to the rate study item, and that way we can if any questions that they have on the each department, the projects, the infrastructure that's needs repairs and all that, they have all the information. They're the ones that are dealing with that daily, so that's why I have them here today in case we have major questions. They're here to answer directly.
Thank you, Carlos. Anyone else like to add anything before we get started or discuss anything? It is a workshop, so we can tentatively discuss it, what we'd like to open up. Okay, moving on to item 3, discuss the water and wastewater rate schedule. I know this is a touchy subject for everyone, and no one certainly wants to pay more money for their water, and I certainly don't need any phone calls, aggravation, why are my bills going up, as you all do the same. But I think we all have to be realistic. Costs go up, operations go up, retirement accounts go up. There's on and on and on. The expenses continue to rise, and therefore the income has to continue to rise also to offset these. However, we can't just arbitrarily raise the rates. We've done a rate schedule, we've done rate studies, we've done all of this for a number of years since I've been involved with the Water District. But we do have to justify these rates and projections to answer some of these questions, and where is this money going to be spent, and how is this income, projected, going to make a difference. And that's how I'd like to open that up.
We're going to item number 1 then?
Item 3 is water and wastewater. Are we on different?
Yeah, 3, that one. Okay, if you go to the next page, that one right there, it's up on the screen. So we've encountered some unfunded liability information on the TCDRS that we need to at least come close to it and have the revenue available if needed for emergencies, and the information's in there. And then number 2, the schedule of projects as requested. If you all recall, Freeze Nichols doing a wastewater department overview and screening of all the infrastructure that's in there that's needed to be upgraded. And very important, I think it was quite a high revenue that we never even moved forward with it. Actually, with the SDRC, the surcharges that we have for sewer and water, we're starting to build up some of the infrastructure, but it will be just very minor compared to what is actually needed. So that's going to be in there too, the information. And then number 3, the project revenue based on 1 month using current rates and proposed rates. One of the things that we have to keep in mind that the board had requested a rate study, I believe in 2008 and 9, through, let me see the company, what was the company name? Well, anyhow, there was a rate study done in 2009, completed, and there was some rates that were raised in 2009 and 2010. And the other two pending, 2011 and 12, were never approved for, and I don't understand what the reason was for that, but it never was moved forward, and it's at a standstill now. So, and that's one of the things that we need to bring up and make sure that everybody's aware that those were already in the rate study and they weren't approved. So maybe we can look into that also and approve some either 2011 or 12 or combined.
That's a
again,
statewide rate study
Right.
that incorporates all districts, all different types of districts, small, large, local, South Texas, North Texas, East Texas, West Texas, a generalization. And it factors in what they call a CPI, basically, which is a consumer price index, stating that, you know, things go up 2% a year, and, you know, whatever that number is, it's a number determined by the U.S. government, cost of living, inflation, takes in all sorts of economic indicators and factors based on when the study was initiated in 2008, and it kind of guides you in a direction of how to raise prices and set prices of where you are. We're in a unique area, as everyone knows, because our demand is not consistent, and that has huge drives on the operations and expenses of this water district. You know, and during those high demands, those 3 or 4 months, you got to rev up, you got to staff up, you got overtime, and then the other 4 months, it's minimal operations, and those affect the cost of the operations of the district. And you know, these are different things that no one really looks at this. This is a business, is what this is, and it provides a service to the public, but it still has to be operated like a business.
Right. And again, we had brought up some information to the board on one of the meetings that we compared, like the city of Galveston that was requested by Mr. Garcia and Corpus. You know, similar areas that are tourism, and, you know, summer is high and then the rest of the year is kind of low. And comparison that we had is that mostly all the entities are going to 2,000 gallons, the minimum.
Minimum usage.
Right, the minimum. And that's kind of important because we're the only ones that have like a 4,000 gallon minimum.
That's only for the 5/8 meter.
Correct. And
The
then that's
1-inch
what we're
meter,
comparing.
the 1-inch meter gets 6,000 gallons.
Right,
2-inch meter gets 26,000 gallons. 4-inch meter gets 101,000 gallons on their minimum.
right.
The tail's wagging the dog here, guys.
The thing that I have a concern with is the taxpayers that live here in the Laguna Madre area year-round, and if we're going to increase the rates, and we're going to increase it on them, we're increasing them, and I think personally that it's a way of subsidizing. This is a tourist community, and a lot of the services that we provide are to facilitate, you know, the tourists and the people that visit the area so that they can have ample water and services. And there's businesses that make a living off of the tourist industry, and like Mr. Thomas said, some of those are reflected there on the amount of gallons that's allowed minimum per month. So I think that we should look at this thing different ways, have different options. And for our local residents that live here year-round, if we can figure out a way of not necessarily increasing their rates, but perhaps generating revenue because of our visitors to the area that they get this.
Did you get me I asked you to give me the 2-inch meters and which condominiums were?
Yes, we have it, we have it.
Okay.
One of the things that we did look at, in looking at the rates and the gallons, is that it's proportional. Where a resident at 4,000 gallons pays the 24.25, we looked at where the increase the 4,000 gallons to the 26, it's based pretty much on the same rate. Where it's like, it goes up from 4,000 to 26, that's a little over like 6.5. If you multiply that by the 24, 25, you'll get the 185. So when they did this, they looked at keeping the same level as far as the amount of gallons with the rates.
Right, right. But the concern that we have here is that the 2-inch and 4-inch meters that have condominiums attached to that certain meter, they have like a
Two-inch
lot of.
meters? These aren't 2-inch meters.
This is 4. This one's 4. This is 2.
Oh, okay.
location.
Not very
And there's
big.
like you can have a 2-inch meter with like 10 units, maybe some 20 units, and we've been seeing this in mostly all the areas. You know, that they request a 2-inch meter and they have like a lot of units going through a 2-inch meter.
Let me give you guys an
And
example on
Mr.
that.
Thomas was saying that we need
Right
to
here.
go per unit, which makes sense.
We're gonna take Park Shore. Okay, Park Shore condominiums way down on the end there has 40 units. They're operating, I'm real sure, off a 2-inch meter. That's why I wanted some more than what you got me here.
Okay.
I don't see Park Shore here. I'm pretty sure they're on a 2-inch meter.
Okay. Park
Yeah.
Shore. Park Shore. Write it down because it's
Yeah,
not
now,
showing there.
they get 26,000 gallons is their minimum. They get that, okay, $205 at water and sewer.
Divided by 50 units. What'd you say, 50?
40 units, they're
40.
paying $5.10 per unit,
Right.
where me, poor old retired body, just trying to make it on my Social Security, is paying $26.95. Now, you tell me anything equal and fair about that, I got a bridge I'll sell you. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. The tail over there is wagging the dog, why this was allowed to happen. I know why it was allowed to happen, because I built half those things. And when they told me how big a meter do we need, I said, put in a 2-inch. We got a pump system on the other side. You ain't never gonna run out of water. Well, my hat's on I'm on a different team today.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, if
You
I was
understand.
playing for the Oilers, or, well, they used to be the Oilers,
So
and they
what's,
got
I
traded
mean,
to Oakland, I'm gonna be faithful to Oakland now, right?
so do you do a 2-inch meter, then there, then it's a certain number of gallons per condominium development, per townhouse development, in other words, there's all different ways you can look at this. And I know what happened too from the development side. I mean, they were smart, so,
Yeah.
but now we're facing water issues, cost issues.
should be
and
some
there's
kind
a
of-
number of things.
Relief to the single homeowner. And the argument's gonna be up, well, we're not there all the time, right? We just come down to our $500,000 vacation home every now and then. Well, we built the infrastructure to handle peak loads.
Right.
The money went in to handle as though that island was occupied all the time. We put the money in there. Want the money back out. Instead of making some little old lady in Laguna Heights pay $26.95, when all she's trying to do is wash her clothes, feed her kids, and give them baths, and you give Monica Sada, who's worth probably about $1 billion, well, she's only paying $5.10. Bull feathers. There's my presentation, gentlemen.
Very good point, Mr. Thomas.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but we need to figure out a way, if they're in a 2-inch, if we have to figure out a way, we're gonna have to redo some stuff, some plumbing there, because let's say we can keep the 2-inch for their general purposes, for watering their
We can't
lawn.
force them in, we cannot force them into changing their meter size.
Well, what I'm saying is,
Yeah, we need to look forward and.
now
What
the
we
2-inch,
gotta do is raise their
Minimum.
not the gallons. They can keep they're getting more gallons than us. But raise their minimum, like a 1-inch meter is, and there's a lot of places over there that up to 6 units are on that 3563.
Like
on
a
a 1-inch meter.
too, 1 inch,
Now,
yes.
I didn't bring my calculator because I was stupid this morning. Now start dividing that by 6, and there again, you're down to very little money they're paying on a per unit basis. I think there needs to be some equalization
Right, so,
per unit, not per meter size.
right, we're getting information now, Ms. Mata, remember that, we're looking into how many, we're looking at the 2-inch meters and going out there and visually, counting how many units or,
We don't have to. You give me the number of 2-inch meters, you don't visually count the units. I went to, well, here,
not?
no, because we don't have to. I went to the Visitors Bureau. Duh. And where'd I put that? I got it here someplace, this crap. Okay, I'm gonna start down the line. Seabreeze has 48 units. The Queens and Kings have 12 units each. Regency's 48, Edgewater's 36, Park Shores 40, Seville's 36, Summit is 64, and I'd be interested to see what size meters at Summit. Embassy has 30. The total Saitas, 1, 2, 3, and 4, not counting Royale, have 237 units, okay, total. Suntide 3 is 118, but I do think they've got like a 4 or 6-inch meter because of fire protection. Padre South has 90, the Sheridan has 201, La Quinta's 147, Oyster Cove, Ocean Vista's 84, La International's 42, and I'm sure they're on a 2-inch meter. Castaway's at 36, I think, 32 or 36. The old Howard Johnson's 91. Gulfview 1 and Gulfview 2 are 78 units each. I pulled that down with one phone call, so we don't have to have 4 guys in the truck driving around with the warning flashes on counting units.
Okay, good. Now, the regular household, most of the households, they're on 5/8. It's a 5/8.
5/8, correct.
You know, one,
Yeah. 5/8 for
regular
one.
household.
Newer or
And-
one.
Yeah, okay, and we have a minimum rate up to 4,000 gallons. And I'm just throwing information out, I'm throwing stuff out. Like you mentioned that La Internacional has 40-something units and so on and so on. Why can't we place each individual unit on a monthly minimum like we do with a regular household of 21 or 24 or whatever it is per month? And that would, you know, have an impact, generate some more revenue, I would think.
Yep, and
So, you know,
they're still gonna maintain like a 2-inch meter.
Yeah,
You know, they get 26,000 gallons. That's a lot more water.
and charge them the minimum, what we charge the regular household, you know, like they charge.
Which is
the-
generally
What
for
we
the
norm-
pool, the common areas, grass, sprinklers. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
But I water my grass too.
On those 2-inch, because a lot of them don't have irrigation meters on those condominium developments.
Damn near none of them do.
If they do, they have like a 1-inch,
Yeah.
but, you know, they're not all consistent.
So,
You also know to think about, because I think when this first started on the size of meters, year-round, basically a 4-inch, we're still gonna get the same amount of revenue. If you're going to, well, let's start charging per unit, well, they're not gonna be there. A lot of them, you know, they're gonna be vacant.
Right.
But
Well,
yet you're
there's a
gonna charge
minimum.
them. The way it is structured right now, because we live in a resort area, is a 4-inch.
The annual usage of that meter.
Whether they use that amount or not, and the majority don't
yeah,
have
well,
it,
we
they're
have,
not gonna use it, but yet we're still gonna charge them, which is 500 and above. The only one that's less is the 2-inch meter.
Well,
we have a lot of winter Texans that not necessarily live on the island. They have a little trailer out in the fingers, or they
Yeah.
live in the golf course, and they come in. And
they're still paying their $26.95.
Yeah, when they go back up north during the summer months, they still pay their minimum, and they don't use any water except maybe they have an irrigation system that's on a time, on a clock.
The little
And-
drip thing,
Yeah.
what do they-
And they don't have an issue with that. They say, okay, you know, that's the minimum, and I'm not here 6 months out of the year, and I come to pay, and so, you see, that's what I'm saying, you know.
I mean, it's a problem. It's,
Yeah,
so,
I don't know how you all feel about that, putting each individual unit on a minimum. We are gonna get some phone calls probably from the property manager or I would be the property manager anymore because
Homeowner.
the developer, they already built the place and they're out of the picture
Well,
already, but
Is there any way we could separate and identify the accounts like residential versus commercial versus rental property and have different rates on those?
pretty sure we can, yeah.
I think we have to keep it pretty equal all the way across the board, or they're gonna,
And we do the
Right,
front
right.
board.
we're gonna wind up in a lawsuit saying, well, you're sticking it to me and you're letting this guy off the hook.
Yeah, but you're making money off of that.
But now we're sticking it to the little homeowner
Yeah.
and leaving them guys off the hook.
right
And we
now-
do have a lot of old couples and single widow ladies that get $500-600 a month Social Security and they have to keep up with their taxes.
And
they
that's
have
what
to
they're
keep
living
up
on.
with their groceries. They get no food stamps. I know because
That study was done in like 2008, right?
Right,
Yeah.
2008 started and completed in 2000.
Right after when Dahlia, we had that Hurricane Dahlia, we had plenty of water. Plenty of water. People weren't
I-
putting attention to it. But now that it's scared of water and things like that, and still charging the same price.
It wouldn't make any
The,
difference.
part of the reason why we started with that
There's a
study,
discrepancy between the little homeowner and the condominium owner. Big time.
was to straighten this out and to try to equalize this out when we first did that study. And now we're evaluating this from a different perspective and a different set of problems. And trying to address this a different way. My recommendation is to have those guys come down here for that study, that have done that study, and tell them the problem that we're facing as another equation to put into it and see what it is. Because it takes out us trying to figure out who, what, how, and it kind of spreads equalization out. I mean, these guys face these same problems continuously, and that's the reason what it's for. I know it may be a certain amount of money, but I think if you put that in, it gives you a fair equalization rate structure study.
not a
That's
Dan
what-
Jackson.
That's
what it
my
does.
recommendation.
Not a
It
Dan
does, we
Jackson
can do that.
from Economist.com. Dan Jackson, he wasn't the one that did the study.
Well, he was one of them.
Oh.
The other one was Scott Snowden.
Oh, Snowden.
Jeff Snowden, I'm sorry.
Oh.
He's the one that I've been talking to on the first one, just questions that I had. But it does make sense that we have to look at that structure on the 2-inch and 4-inch, because there's even the 1-inch meters, that there's like 4 or 6 units to 1 meter, and then we have to look at everything, not just the 2s or 4s.
Not just
but
the twos, all
yeah,
of them.
Yeah,
I
the
would-
ones that are
The only
commercially,
reason I'm pointing those out
commercially, yeah.
is because I know quite a few of the condos over there that are on 2-inch meters. If, and I hate picking on Park Shore, if they, I was also in the little, in the paper, I don't know how many guys get paper, but you get those little real estate things there, one day a week or so, Saturday or whatever. Well, I'm flipping through, and I'm looking down, I'm going, Park Shore, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, unit 404, 408, whatever it is. $595,000. Well, I think we ought to just buy one of them, and we kind of all use it, and when we're down here, in the summer, of course. What I'm getting at is these people, we said they're not here all the time. Hell no, that's because they can live in big homes in Dallas and just have this thing for their little, this is the equivalent of our travel trailers or tents,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
It ain't fair. And I hate the word fair. If they had to pay per unit, the guy with the $500,000 condo had to pay the same money that I'm paying, their minimum would be not $206, it'd be $1,078. That's what their monthly minimum would be. That's how far apart this thing is.
I know back
I'll
in,
shut up.
I came in '94,
It's good
I
information.
think in '92, '93, they had a different type of rate structure for the water district. And I just come in '94, but I do remember the Seville, the Continental, a lot of those went from one side of the meter to another side of the meter because they were gonna save money. And I wanna say they used to have a block rate structure, for charging. say it was pretty much like you're saying, per unit. And the district changed it out sometime in that time frame.
Why?
After that,
No, I don't think so, oh yeah, because I have the sheet and the structure has been the same.
Okay, cause they went from one size of meter to a different size of meter.
Because
They were
of
like,
the
Change,
water.
they changed the size of the meter.
yeah, I do recall,
They
I
changed
do
the size
recall
of the
something
meter.
like that, yeah.
I do remember.
Yeah, because of the amount.
Smaller meter,
Smaller.
yeah.
Well, you could say I'm guilty of making this happen to a certain extent. When I was, I paid right out of my pocket, right after I paid that $495,000.
That's the only way I think you're gonna get there, because otherwise I mean, there's all sorts of scenarios, you know, there's the common use lines, there's, you know, outdoor resort, I mean, you can pick all different, every place has a scenario. Golf course has a scenario, you know, the new development they're putting here in Port Isabel, I mean, everything has a scenario, so the only way you can do it is if you have someone that deals with this structure, and no one is gonna like this is not a win situation, because everyone's gonna end up paying more money, is what
It's
it
a win
amounts to.
situation
We're
for the
trying to-
district, it'll
yes,
put us
we're
in the
trying to
black.
spread this out equally and fairly,
And, there is some cost
and I
to
do
that
believe
part,
in
and I had
less
mentioned it.
gallons, less, you know, the four should become two, I mean, that's a standard worldwide issue now, the consumption is high, I mean, the gallons we allow is a quite high number.
And when I talked to our advisor, Jeff Snowden, he, gave me a price, you know, and I said, well, it's kinda, but then, he said, but we can work with that, you know, depending on what you need. Cause he already, CAPEX.
The guy did the study.
Jeff Snowden Consulting Group, it's, finance and economics, this one here. But, he told me, you know, he can work with the cost, you know, he can go down, just depending on what we need, and maybe get a better price.
Contact Dan Jackson from economist.com. He's familiar with the
Dan,
district,
I
and
remember
he's done rate studies. That's what he does,
They
isn't it?
did that for us, in 2002. They didn't do
Right.
it for us.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they work for the same company or not, but.
No.
whoever
He's
it
got
is.
his own, I think he's on his own.
Now, those irrigation meters, when you went up to irrigation meters, it's still processed water, and we're charging for like it was raw water, you know? Isn't that right?
No, we're charging a
No,
regular
it's a
water rate,
regular
we're
water
just not, we're not charging the sewer
Sewer
rate, that's the only thing, they don't pay the sewer rate.
That's about equal, like, it's sewer's close enough to water, that's about equal, you know? We're not charging them for processed water, that's irrigation, it goes, I have a leak in my house, and they give you a chance once a year, but if I have more than one leak, that's it, I get paid.
And I think you might be talking like irrigation from the golf course, right? The raw water?
Everywhere. The
Raw
raw
water.
water, that should say that's
Because
water,
of,
water is water.
Well, and you got a point there too, because let's say they're irrigating their lawn, there's always an overflow, and that overflow goes where? Into the sewer system, right?
Storm
Oh,
sewer.
well, sometimes they do.
Storm
but
sewers,
not-
it shouldn't go
not
into the
necessarily
potable.
all the time,
It should
Don.
not go
Okay.
into our sanitary sewer system.
Sometimes it does, and depending on
that's
where it's at, but not usually all the time.
We get more in there from the old manholes that used to leak every time it rained. Open the lid, you see the water coming, it looked like
So
water.
what, so do we need to contact these
You
people
recommend
that?
to do that, we can
Personally,
contact
that's
them.
my recommendation, cause I don't know how we're gonna come out with a fair equalization
Right.
rate structure on our own that does this, because, you know, there's things we may be overlooking, there's things we're not taking into account, and if you're gonna do this, that's my recommendation. Then it takes the liability and it takes everything off of the district and places it on them.
And that way, we can present everything that we have in the backups here, you know, look, this is the, infrastructure that needs repairs, all that kinda,
Carlos, it's like Mr. Thomas said, some people can afford to pay 1,000,000 gallons, but some people can't afford to pay over
yeah,
10,000
no, that's right,
gallons.
I understand.
Here's the sweet thing. All those people in those big condominiums, almost all of them, are from Dallas and Fort Worth and Monterey. They can't vote here. They can't vote me out of office.
Well,
I think
except
everyone
for
understands
They
what
can't
it
vote
is.
you
I mean,
guys out
it's
of existence.
explained is, it's understandable, but it's just, it has to be spread out. And I don't know how else you're gonna do it. I mean, I don't think we're gonna sit here at this table and get it done.
No. But, I take your recommendation and we'll do as
I just
is
like to
call
see this thing going
Dan
in the
Jackson
right-
also see what he can do with it.
He's
for
good,
us.
yeah,
And I'll bring it up on the next board agenda, so we can, discuss that, and y'all wanna go with this guy at this price, or this guy at that price, for the services.
But
that we-
explain
Oh,
the
yes,
problem
we-
you're trying to solve
Right,
when you put that in the
Yeah,
proposal.
on both,
Yes.
we can do that,
Mr. Galan,
yes, sir.
and you and I know that those people from Monterey, in 1 week, they'll waste more water than we do in a month.
Well, even in their sprinkler system.
They don't care about wasting water.
How many times have you guys drove down Gulf Boulevard and this and that? When it's been raining, their sprinkler systems are still on, and it's running out in the street, running down to the storm sewers and heading to the bay. They're not paying enough to care.
That's right. That's the whole truth. That's the whole truth there.
You take me, and I'll pay my $26.95, but I want the same, Park Shore's only paying $5.10 per unit, but give me 26,000 gallons for my $26.95. My grass it'll look like a park. It'll look like a cemetery. It just, without the stones. Just, my wife will just have plants everywhere. I might even build a little fountain that just bubbles up and runs off in the channel.
You can set up a car wash in your.
Could
in
do
your-
that too,
in your
yeah, get some
backyard
good-looking
or
young
Okay.
girls.
I don't know
bikini
how else
girls.
we're gonna get there, but I think
You know what
that's,
happened to
We'll
me?
do that then.
I left the faucet a little cracked open in the yard. And my bill went up to $40-something. Now I get up at 10 o'clock, before I go to sleep, I will go outside, make sure it closed.
I put timers on my hose bib so I couldn't screw up.
Well, they do sell timers
yes,
on the whole bit, so you know,
Yeah.
10 minutes, it'll turn off by itself.
you put them on your, soaker hoses and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
Okay.
got the
Anything else?
information from, Mr. Thomas here.
well,
I didn't know
they're
he sold
great,
those.
they're about $10-15. I think Sutherland's got them, I know I've bought them at Ace Hardware. And like, here you are, you wanna go out, you're watching TV, might be drinking beer like me and eating food. And so 9 o'clock at night, you just wanna water for an hour, you know, and we wanna flood the mama's flower bed or something like that, you just turn the timer to 1 hour, and an hour later, that puppy shuts off. Where you don't forget, walk out in the morning and go, oh, this ain't good. I just watered the driveway, the street, my neighbor's house. We
Anything
do
else
things
to
like that.
discuss on the rate study? I mean, you can see if anyone's current with the news, what's happening in California. I mean, they're facing $10,000 fines, and, if any water is allowed on the street. I mean, it is an awareness, and most people are aware of what's going on, and we have to raise the awareness of the district also. I mean, we're in the business to sell water, but we're in the business also to make sure we have the water to sell.
That's correct.
And I'll bet you, has that in mind. They're thinking, when are they gonna raise the, how much are they gonna raise? They know it's coming.
Okay,
We know it's coming. You have a lot, you have a house.
From what I'm looking at, the only big argument that they can give us from these island people, well, we're not here all the time, and we don't hardly ever use our minimum. Yeah, but you got 26,000 gallon minimum, and we had to build this thing to handle you if you were full. End of conversation. You can't argue with that.
Okay, we're closing that out. We agreed. Is any other
Yep.
comments or suggestions on that? Okay. Let's move on to item number 4, discuss a contract renewal for Orbit Broadband IT.
Gomez, what do you have in there?
I did submit a copy of the evaluation, it was supposed to be in your packet. And, we did score, or I did score actually, over broadband in 4 areas. One had to do with the quality of the work habits, and, job knowledge and behavioral relations. And in my opinion, they're doing a really outstanding job. The thing I like about Orbit also is that if for whatever reason they are not here, if the IT person is not here, all we need to do is call their office, talk to Richard, and he will have somebody else here as a substitute of unfortunately, like for instance, unfortunately, we just had this new guy, Juan Blanco, very knowledgeable individual. He was working with Shell on a contracted basis. He started working with Orbit, but he had put in an application with Shell for full-time. Well, Shell got some kind of government contract, so they called him up and they want to hire him on a full-time basis, which has a lot of benefits. And he's going to get paid a lot more. So he was only here for about 2 to 3 weeks, and on Monday we're getting back Angel, who used to be here. So we always have somebody here.
Familiar.
But why?
But why, yeah? Why do we need
Why do
somebody
we need
full-time?
somebody here? How many hours a week are we giving them now?
They're here full-time.
Yeah, but what are they doing full-time? They're working 8 hours or 10 hours?
They're working 8 hours. We constantly have problems with the void system, with
Right.
computers. I mean.
And so
well,
you're
this
telling
is-
me they've done such a good job, they've had it for a year and they can't work it out?
Well, a lot of this is not necessarily the VoIP system itself. It's a provider up in Dallas that's having some issues, and that's why we have some problems with it. So they manage it as much as they can.
Maybe we need to call Time Warner Business Class, see what they can put together.
Last
Because-
meeting, we
I
talked
can
about
assure you
having
that
somebody answer
there's-
the phone instead of that ridiculous thing that shoots you out to the, somewhere else. You wanna talk to
Okay.
somebody and somebody else answers, and they says, well, let me transfer you to that position. And then somebody else answers. One time I called and somebody answered, I thought it was Chinese. Oh man, I says, what did I do now?
Where'd
But
Daisy
I
go?
mean, I couldn't understand.
What do you,
Just because
there
I might
she
be
is.
here.
Don't be looking at me like that. When you have guys that answer the phone a lot, are you getting echoes, static? Are you getting any of that stuff on the phones?
A lot of it.
We
We
do
get static,
get
we
it. We
get
do
drop
get- I do
calls,
get
we
it.
get,
Okay.
you name it.
I talked to a man, he's got a master's degree in computer architecture. And he works for a company that's got probably 10,000 employees worldwide. He says it's simple. If you're getting echoes and static and stuff like that, you got a hardware issue. They've had a year to fix this hardware issue and it's not been fixed. Now, he says, if you all of a sudden, you're on the phone and they start switching you around, he says, and then all of a sudden there's nobody there, right? You gotta call back. He says that's a routing issue. And he says should be so simple, it's literally a fill in the blanks. Because what it's doing, it's routing you to nowhere. I went, what do you mean? You'd be surprised, there's a lot of nowhere out there. He talked to me.
And there's another people say, what happened to
Okay.
that nice lady or something that always answers with a very friendly voice? And now you get all confused, you don't wanna talk to a lady, a male answers, you know me, I said, the only male there that I know is Robert and what's his name? The other
It's the
guy.
IT person and it's
Yeah,
Larry.
I
The
don't know, I says,
problem-
but I'll ask.
Problem
You
is
have to
you've got
switch for Spanish if you want, so you can hear Daisy.
hardware, you've got
Okay.
software, you've
One
got
thing and-
But that-
issues, and who goes and resets the router? Who rewires this? Who fixes the hard drive? Who calls this guy? I mean, I deal with the computers too in multi-units, and there's continuously something. There's a glitch in the program, which it's common. There's updates in the program. There's, I mean, the list goes on of things, and
Viruses,
I've
right?
said
I
the
just
same
got one.
thing.
All
There's
I know,
viruses,
that's, those things
But
are
it's
all
the only
different. But
one.
But
basically,
this is basically what
he
the system
told
is.
me on a day-to-day basis,
An
once
IT
these
person
systems
is
are
an IT
set up
person. I mean,
and really set up and
It's like
polished
having an A
out,
license. I mean,
you may need a man to come in
they're out there
here
and
one
available.
Anybody that has a
month.
reference that can do it.
But it does take someone with the knowledge to
Says,
get items
yes, you
done.
can have electrical storms, you can have stuff that throws
And
everything crazy,
You
can
can't have many
spikes.
trying to figure out how to
Then you
fix
need
the
extra help.
problem at the warehouse
Everything's
or
running like
problem.
it should run.
Someone has to be able to be
Can we
designated to
contact
fix the
One
your
day a
problem.
month.
With me, you can contact your friends.
You have
and-
somebody.
404-867-2474.
You got technicians, you don't even have to
But
come.
we're not gonna get him, he's
That's
making
correct.
$150,000.
Is you try to automate it
Yeah.
and make this stuff, but
From wherever they are, they're picture
We're gonna hire him.
someone has to,
Yeah,
someone has to be
right.
designated to do this, and it is a
I've
semi-specialized
seen
you're better having a contracted employee than you are having an in-house employee, because a contracted
That's true.
employee is an as-needed, and you're getting what you, it just makes more sense to have a contracted employee for this,
So we have a
for
man here
this
40
job
hours a
description.
week is what we're saying.
Correct.
There's some technicians that can fix anything you got, any virus or something from, they can be
We
in
had,
Boston.
we had
somewhere.
technicians before in the call faces, and we were paying 32 to 44,000.
More money for them to come out.
For less
Travel
time.
time and
For less time than they were coming. And if we went down, we had to wait till he got here, and sometimes. he
and that's a
couldn't get
half a
here.
day or a day later.
When
correct.
was that, Mr. Gomez?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
When was that?
That was right
2
about
years
when
ago.
I started. Right after that is when we formed the contract with Orbit.
The problem is it shouldn't go down this
Where
much.
they can get in the internet or whatever and can fix your virus, if they have your communication with them from up there, they are.
Yes. Yes, but
Nowadays,
it's not just the computers that we're dealing with now. We're dealing with the lift stations. We're dealing with a whole lot of other issues just besides just the computer.
lift stations,
Everything is
Yeah.
electronic, and the
We-
problem is
I
that we're
understand.
wireless, and with wireless, it's like your cell phone. We got,
the lift stations were
30-something
under
wireless-
audio dialers, weren't they?
I'm sorry?
The lift stations were under audio dialers.
The auto divers, yes.
Yeah, and the reason we were paying too much because somebody decided to pay long distance on them. Because some manager wanted to be in San Antonio, he couldn't open the gate for you or something from up there. But if you had just local, and then some people took advantage of that and they were making long distance calls from that audio dialer. I can tell you that because I was
Well-
working on them at the time.
What happened to this other
You
outfit
had
that
kept
we
them
hired
local at the cheapest thing you
that
could
was
get.
supposed to set all this stuff up out of Harlingen?
Same one?
It's Orbit. Orbit.
Not Orbit. The single guy out of
Yeah,
Harlingen.
they work
I talked to him.
Dwayne, what's his name?
Larry
Larry
Niblett.
Niblett.
Yeah.
How about Dwayne? What's the other
What
guy?
does he
Oh,
do?
Dwayne is Hydrocon. That's
Yeah.
a SCADA system.
But he's on that too.
With all
He's
these
working by
computers and all this
himself now.
technology, you're gonna continually have problems come up, so you're gonna have someone that's readily available to.
You need
No,
an
40
IT
hours a
person,
week.
an organization like this needs an IT person here all the time. Now, I agree that it shouldn't be one that's an employee. I'd rather have contract
Contract
out
labor.
with someone, but we do need, this type of organization and the size that it is, does need a full-time IT person.
And you're gonna continually advance
Yeah,
more
there's
with
all kinds of stuff.
technology, and it's only happening. I mean, everything is closing in this technology, and how much time and money has it saved already by linking all of this together, and
And not
And-
only, even on the workshops and the meetings that we have, they're still downloading information from,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing,
Yeah. Now,
ongoing.
I think the only other issue here is if we're gonna continue with Orbit, or are we gonna go out for bids and get somebody else? I think that's the only
That's the issue.
matter
if
here.
you go out for
I-
bids,
I
someone
know-
has to learn this whole system and has to,
And then,
and that's gonna take a lot of time, effort, and money to get current on what's happening.
I don't think they have to learn. These people are already trained for years and years and years. Once you learn how to drive a car, it doesn't matter if it's a stick shift or whatever. You get on it, you look at it, you remember.
They have to learn how
And
encode
those-
works, they have to
those
learn
are the-
how.
Those are the type of,
You train for
people
it.
that you have to pay a lot more than a contractor.
That's what I was gonna say. These
That's the
people that
difference.
have
You pay a
all
lot
this
more, but you
training,
get things
they're,
done.
they're worth $50,000 to $60,000. That's one of the reasons
But
that
this is-
Orbit cannot keep the IT guys that they've been hiring. When I started here, and about a month, 2 months after we got into the contract with Orbit, there was a guy named Austin that was supposed to
Yeah,
start.
I know.
Okay, well, he didn't stay, and he was the one that we were supposed to get. We got a bid. A bid was here for close to a year, and they moved him up to the front office. Angel came in, and Angel has really been doing great, but unfortunately, he's traveling for Mercedes, and he doesn't want to do that anymore, so he was getting ready to quit
Yeah.
Orbit, and Richard took him in, and they hired this other guy, Juan Blanco.
Yeah.
Well, Juan Blanco's gone, so now we're gonna have to get somebody else. So we've had almost 4 guys in.
I know.
And if you're gonna put someone on your own payroll, you're gonna be facing the same issue.
You
One
keep
of the-
saying he's been doing great.
not looking
Mr.
at
Thomas
top.
says here he doesn't understand the system because it's always messed up for a year. You keep saying he's doing great, he's doing great. It's on our mind. If I see a paper, this is my opinion. If I see a paper, you bring it over and you say, "Hey, we got so many bids, and this is the best." Because everybody out there is charging $40,000 more. Then, in my opinion, I will agree.
Well-
But if I see something that, hey, why is this guy paying this guy so much when this guy is got the same, he's an IT man, and he's probably become a better thing for us, or whatever, you know? But if you keep saying, this guy's doing great, and this guy's doing great, and for a year, he hasn't got things done, because then we can blame
But
network, we can
again,
blame.
it's not him, Mr. Vela.
I know.
It's the provider in Dallas that they're having issues.
And
Now,
why don't we
the only
change
way that we will
providers?
ever get rid of this whole thing
Why don't we
is
change
go
the
back
provider?
into landline. And if we go back into landline again, you're gonna be looking at over $4,000 a month on
This
That
provider is the
landline
only
was
provider in the
because I just
country?
told you, we had long distance on something that we didn't need, and it was island. And I brought that out a long time ago when I was there. Why do you have long distance? And then they found out, hey, we had in lift station 6, remember, Carlos, there was a big bill for a long distance call. Somebody got smart and found out that they could use that phone, and that man was getting prices for cars, trying to buy a car. He went all over the state of Texas. I went out there and I had to block it. This is something that everybody knows,
Can I get
that
one of them
except you,
numbers?
you weren't here. But everybody else that was here knows.
¿Y ya no les ocuparon?
He died.
This is kinda like taking your car back to the same mechanic and it still ain't running right.
But things that happen, and we keep saying.
Well, okay, the provider, are these people the only ones that provide the services, the provider to?
To the state of
To our
Texas,
system
to
here
the
or what?
world.
No, I've been trying to get Larry. That's who Larry is working with, Larry Neblett, and I'm trying to get him to see if he can get somebody else that can provide the internet. Well, not the internet.
Pretty
but-
sure there are, because this thing is a very competitive field, and everybody
Yeah,
is out there trying to
Oh,
sell their
tell me
product.
about it. Well, that's why these guys can't keep, they're not paying the people enough to, the good ones enough to keep them. So what we get is the ones that aren't good enough to take that next step from
Well, they're guys that are.
30,000 a year to
That are
100.
just coming into the business, out of college or something, and,
don't know squat.
and yeah.
This one came out of the army, he was in the army.
And
Yeah,
that's
he was
what
a
he was doing.
retired guy.
That's what he was doing in the army. He was IT person.
But he's leaving now too, huh?
No,
No,
he's gonna be back.
He came
He's
back.
gonna,
He's
he's
coming
still,
back.
He was
he's
leaving.
still with Orbit and
he's
and
still with
working with
Orbit,
us.
but he's working in Mercedes.
Yeah.
That's where he lives, and
Yeah.
he was just getting tired of the drive back and forth from Mercedes to
Understandable.
Huntsville every day. But even at 40,000, what I
Plus,
calculated on the
40,000
benefits,
plus.
we're saving over 11,000.
Yeah, but
in
is it
benefits.
just 40,000 or 40,000 plus?
It's just a little over 40,000.
40,300.
41,000.
How
Well-
about, does he have insurance?
That's something Orbit.
They have it-
We
it's-
don't worry
they're-
about
they're
any of
Still
that.
gotta look
Strictly,
at it.
he's strictly contract
Contract.
labor, is that
Yeah,
correct?
exactly,
Yes.
exactly, yeah. They have everything for them. They
We
have
don't pay
benefits, everything.
insurance, don't pay anything else, strictly
When
contract.
when that IT person is due for vacation, Orbit provides somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what, if you wanna keep that guy, what about that company, whoever is furnishing that network is messing up?
The network, yeah. That's the one.
Somebody's,
that's network.
somebody's gonna give out, because if you have a good man here, nothing to work with, I mean, that ain't right. You got a question?
The thing is they're using voice over IP. The way that works, like AT&T, the landline, they have their substation in Brownsville or something. And voice over IP, the substation is in Dallas. They try to connect, if Dallas has a power outage, our system's not gonna work. That's the substation. Cause you're using the computer to dial, it's going over the
Internet.
internet protocol. So if they have a problem in Dallas, we're
We're screwed down.
We're out of luck. Yeah.
This is,
And it's rare, those substations, they're limited, they're not all over.
Well, then this is a two-phased issue, One, we do need an IT guy here, you know, we need to do contract.
But our needs are not that demanding. Our needs are basic in general. They're not,
And then the other one is the provider, so.
We
you
have
know,
a
we have
pretty
to find
small, simple
another
system,
provider.
guy.
Yeah.
Well,
yes. But we have to have someone that understands it, knows how to work it, and we're back
And
to,
we ain't got there yet.
okay? How do we get there?
I
What's
don't
your
know.
proposal?
I have no proposals. I ain't that smart.
Well, this is why they brought this one here.
But I do, no, but talking to the guy in Atlanta, they're worldwide.
I
He can
mean-
get on his computer,
It makes sense.
like, they're talking about putting, now they've got computers in all the trucks to where you can route them and everything like that, right? And he'll type, he'll look, he'll find a computer in Poland, he'll type it in English, put down truck number 23, and he can see the routing, where every place it stopped, he's got a printout. And when he pushes reply, they type in Polish, and when he gets his printout, it's in English. Now, you telling me we've got a complicated thing? Not a chance.
I would say.
We can't even
what-
make
what
our
would be-
phones work. That's all we wanna do. Can I have a working phone?
Yeah, I would say something like that, like say CP&L, people like that, you know, they have a company in every large city in Texas or every state. They have a company there and they have a computer knowing where the truck is all the time, you know? But how many trucks do we have?
And then there is programs
they
that we
also have
can
an
get on
IT
that, but it costs money to have those programs.
They also have an IT department that, I mean, it's not just one person.
Oh, no. It's a department.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I
a
mean, he's
huge
got the.
department.
Yeah, they have
big IT
engineers,
department.
you know.
With a lot of,
Computer
exactly,
engineers and all that
engineers
kind of stuff.
and guys with masters and I would venture to say someone with doctorate degree that are getting paid 100,000 plus or 200,000. I mean, these are companies that can afford to buy and get the personnel they need.
Why are we
Well,
making
$70,000,
one
$80,000?
person, one job, making this into an issue, and a difficult
Exactly.
issue?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
What, we have been working fairly well with all of this, and I just, if we wanna change it, then that's why it's up for discussion, then we need to, what is the second best
the
proposal to
recommendation?
do? What's the second best recommendation? Otherwise, we should accept what we've got.
Try to find something
the second best recommendation would be to hire in-house.
I'm against that.
No.
Because,
I
and that's gonna cost us at least, even if we hire them.
And your
at-
turnover
at-
rate is gonna be high, and you're gonna, and I don't think that is in your best interest.
Yeah, you can't keep an IT person in-house with local funds
No.
for more than 6 months or so. Look, these people, yeah.
I mean, that's a problem, that Orbit is having, is that they can't keep the guy because they're paying him.
They're not
less.
paying them enough.
Exactly.
Well,
And
mean,
that's an
even
Orbit's
at
problem,
40,000, they're
but
losing
it
them.
shouldn't be our problem.
But it is, because they're the ones that are providing, they're charging us what they're.
you're still
what they're
getting
paying.
service because you're under a contract service, and you're getting the service. They're providing that, handling the personnel and handling all of that back of the house problems that we're trying to avoid.
Because look, right here, the contract is for 35,000, and then they're proposing 40,300. Let me tell you, I don't know what they're paying. It's none of my business. I don't know what they're paying the guy that they send over here. But Orbit's got to make some money off of this 35,000. So you know, if he's paying the guy
30?
25 or something,
Not
You-
really.
you
I
know?
talked to Angel, and he was getting pretty much what Orbit was putting on there, 35, plus they were getting $200 or $300 gas allowance.
well, so then Orbit is losing money on that for this
No,
deal.
I don't think nobody wants to lose money.
They ain't
Is-
losing
is-
money.
is-
That's why he's going up
Has
to 40.
Orbit, how many antennas does Orbit have in the towers?
No.
One
One?
here, one in the
Oh,
Andy
for
Bowie,
us, just us.
and one in Laguna Vista.
Laguna
Can,
Vista?
can we raise the
We-
price
we
on-
have one it's our
on
antenna.
leasing those antennas?
are already
and
under
then we can
contract.
afford to
Right.
pay?
Those are already long-term
Raise the
contracts.
price on them and then we can afford to pay, what's his name, Angel?
You can, but
That's
those
the way
are
it works.
long-term
That's,
contracts.
I guess in the contract is that we
What?
get free internet service. That's the agreement.
With free internet
And we,
service.
that is a lot, internet service that we're
agreement
getting.
with Orbit.
Because we're looking at internet service at all the lift stations, plus all the
How many lift
satellites, all the
stations are
the
there
water
with,
stations.
that are working with,
What's up, Brian?
SCADA? How many, 4?
Call you back?
I can call from the
How
island
many are
with
these
Google
there?
and they'll
Just
know
use a credit
if
card.
something's wrong, you know.
I'm trying to get them all.
Working,
We're trying to get
I
them all,
Trying to get
I
them
mean
up to
today,
par,
I
we're
was
but
trying to get them
working.
up to par.
You
Because
can,
they were
one day you
all
can get me on a truck
corroded
and take
and-
me and tell me this has got a SCADA system, this got a SCADA system, it's working back and forth. Or, I mean, come out with the correct thing, you know, but I wish they had 15, you know. But the reason, gentlemen, that we went from $100 to that, because of the AT&T rate, how much they charged us. Because I know you're done away with it, I didn't mean, but the thing is, the AT&T we had full service with them. We had long distance and everything, because at that time, somebody decided to be in San Antonio, and they can get a hold of the guy and to open the gate, they would call him, he would get his code and open the gate for him, which I was told was not right. Because how would you know who's gonna go in that gate when they called them? But they kept it like that, and they kept it like that. Finally, it says too much money we paying, and they dropped it. But if we had it locally and a good contract, we wouldn't be messing around with all the things we're messing right now with SCADA system. Because I understand that none of the people right now checking the SCADA system out there know much about SCADA.
Can we
SCADA is more
focus on
difficult
the,
than
on the, can we stay focused on this one?
this is the same thing.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Orbit broadband?
Yes, they're charging us to put SCADA systems over there. When we had another thing that even Mr. Ochoa understood the audio dialer. I would take him out there and he'd tell me, Robert, I know what's going on. I said, and he would pinpoint, and I said, man, these guys are learning. Now we're going to start with SCADA, and I know it's things of today, but the things of today that a guy that doesn't have the training would go out there and don't know what's going on, has to bring a guy from orbit, and all he gotta do is punch a little thing, reset that thing, and go. Before, everybody knew, but it came to a time that somebody was doing that. They were doing long distance calls and things like that. So
I don't think they can do any more long distance calls anymore.
no more.
We can't be worried about
No,
that.
not no more.
We
I
have
know.
made some huge strides and improvements.
And again, we gotta keep in mind also that when we went from AT&T back to the system that we have now, we're paying how much? From 4,000 a month to
100.
100.
I mean, that savings is paying for
150,
this.
Yeah, so, but the thing now that all we have to do is make sure that we get, talk to Larry, the guy that did the system, and make sure that the service that they're providing from Dallas, is it the only service that we can get, or can we get somebody else? Even though, you know, it might happen the same thing if you're in Houston, because if they have a bad storm and they break down, same thing's gonna happen. So we can work out with Larry, and it's not Orbit, it's Larry.
Maybe
that
you
we
can
need
get something
to-
from McAllen.
Right, so, going back to this, if we're gonna put it back in the board on the agreement, and, you know, y'all decide, but from now till the 30th, see if the board wants to agree and then approve the agreement, going from 35 to 40.
I think we're probably gonna have to go, you know, with these people for this coming year, and then in the process of that year, we need to explore
Yeah.
Okay?
other options, you know, either provider or the up there or these people, either one. But
You're
we-
suggesting for Robert and staff to pay attention for a secondary or a backup of what you're looking for next year.
And-
Accept Orbit this year and evaluate what they're doing, or who or what or how the second solution is to this.
And I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think that Orbit is the problem.
I don't either.
It's not the problem. I mean, regardless of whether we have somebody in-house, we're still gonna have some of these issues.
You're worse.
Yeah. And these guys that have been hired by Orbit, they have been familiar with the VoIP system. They've been familiar with what we're doing as far as the recording of the meetings and the videos. They've learned quite a bit on the auto dialers, and they're constantly going out to the water plants to make sure that if they have a problem, to fix it. I mean.
The alarm
it-
systems at the
the
water
alarm-
plant.
Yeah,
Right,
it's.
We're making
we
this
need
into a
somebody
big
here
issue.
full-time.
Yeah,
About a One,
Yes.
I want a working
And-
phone.
I understand all that, Robert. Once you specialize in something, doesn't matter where they send you. You know what you're doing.
Just put them on notice that,
Or you
that-
should
that
know what you're doing.
everybody is upset with the way the system is working now and all that, and it's a direct directive on them to fix it, take care of the problem.
They've been told already.
Yeah, they're aware of that,
And I will
Okay.
it's not,
voice it again this coming week.
Writing.
Okay.
They send you out to
Can we
fix
move
a
on? Can we close
sign
this
and-
out? Is there anything left for
and then
discussion
go
on
out and
this?
fix a four sign. Will you have difficulty?
Okay,
Would that-
I'd like to
would
close
that-
it out and
I
move
mean,
on.
that you specialize in
How long,
that.
how long would my customer
Moving
keep
to
using
item
me
number
if
5,
everything I did,
discuss issuing
I
a letter
had
of
to go
support for
back?
the strategic water management
go
plan
back.
as initiated by the Rio Grande Regional Water Authority.
yes, on this one, we didn't, Charles requested some information from them, and they never supplied it, they don't have it available. And I believe that,
No
the
point in
district has
talking about
no
it.
benefit out of this yet. We don't see anything saying, directly for, reverse osmosis, desalination, seawater desal. They just talk about it, but it's not in the paperwork, so, we're
They're
still
skipping
having
past
some
us
issues.
who has the bond
That's
and the
right.
ability to do desal and has the ability to wholesale water
Right.
the whole other direction, and they're trying to work it from their direction down.
There you go.
And
We've got the
I disagree
ability
with the strategy.
Pay for the
Right, exactly.
system, but
So,
water don't have
on
the
this
ability to
part, we-
produce it.
We haven't received enough information to say anything.
And the fact that they have given you that lack of information, I think, shows for a lack of support. That's my opinion.
Well,
I agree we have to work regionally, and we do have, regionally is the only way these problems are gonna get solved, but they're not playing regional players with us, who I think offers a lot to their puzzle. And I'm not trying to be difficult, or,
No, I understand.
Mr. Thomas, do you have something
well,
to
me
add to
and
that?
Mario were out there on the desalination thing. And they're showing us pictures, remember, out there in California, and I don't know. And they're talking about all the trouble they're having with the water coming into the plant. I never thought about that. I thought, well, you desalinate the water, the bad stuff is going out, right? All the heavy metals, your zincs, your acids. Okay. So we gotta take it a long way. And they're saying they're having all this trouble with the water coming into the plant, and they're down there in this crystal clear water, right? The divers got little toothbrushes and little scrapers on the screens coming in. And I'm thinking, how far out in the Gulf we gotta go to get water even close that clean? We're kinda screwed on that deal, guys. I mean, between the well, then we can get about far enough and one of our grandfather shrimpers will go through and drag the whole thing out
Oh,
the
they
bottom.
But we've talked also about brackish groundwater, and I asked you guys, you Carlos and Charles, to contact the bond council to look at the covenants of the bond and see if there's something on there in the covenants that we can switch over to groundwater brackish. And-
Right, 'cause right
and-
now we can't.
And there's abundance of brackish water just north of us over here in Laguna Vista that we
Right.
can,
And I just talked to
Real
PUD, 2 days ago, they mentioned that they have up to 30-year supply.
So,
You
you know,
Brackish
and I asked
water
you guys,
right
I
out
don't know
of
how
the
many
river,
months
we
ago,
could-
several months ago, to ask the bond council, look at the bond and see what the bond covenant says, whether or not we can use that bond money that was asked for desalination
Seawater desal.
towards
Brackish.
brackish water. And let's get an answer from them.
Why
And
we
then
couldn't-
we can explore this
That
other
avenue,
alternative
right,
source.
yes, because I believe that we would be better off doing the brackish water, in all aspects, even construction and preventive maintenance that occurs like thereafter they started up.
And as far as I know, we're still a part of the Southmost Water Authority, and if we have to run a pipeline to the desal plant on 511 at our cost, well, we can even explore that. And
Why can't we pull water out of the river?
We are.
No, I mean south of Brownsville. they want a brackish desal plant?
Brackish, we have it here. We don't have to go to Brownsville to get brackish. You can get it anywhere. You go to Laguna Vista, Bayview, Port Isabel. Brackish water is groundwater.
We got enough to pull out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
we can
yeah.
get- we
There was
can
a
get it down in-
hydrologist.
Yes.
Well, you know, we're talking about, let's say, 3 million gallons a day, 4 million gallons a day.
You can get as much as you want. It's there. Like, you have to
Okay.
separate the wells, you know. You get
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
10,
I di-
5 wells, but
I
you
didn't
get,
know we could pull that
Oh,
much
yes, we
out,
can.
volume. Yeah,
There was a hydrologist, why did it came, I don't know how many years ago, you remember, Carlos, said that there's brackish, well, there's a whole aquifer down
Right.
there.
Of brackish
there are
water.
aquifers, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll last us over 100 years, you know.
Great, and we need to try to change that.
Yeah,
The
we'll-
wording
Just like
in the
Mr.
bond.
Garcia recommends that
needs
we
to
go
be
to
changed.
bond council and we'll ask and see if maybe there's something in there that says, or use it for whatever you need, you know.
Well, it's gonna
Some
be
kind of
cleaner
no-
too, we're not gonna have the marine growth in it. You know,
Oh,
that we have
there's
by
some issues
pulling
with,
in.
arsenic and all kinds of
Yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff, but
there
it'll be
is on
taken care of.
everything.
Right.
I think are we closed?
We're mostly.
And I have no problems going up to their McAllen, stuff up there either and talking to these guys or listening to their proposal or, I mean, they won't have to drag them down here also. I mean, we can also be equal players and go up and listen to what they have to say, but I don't feel they're incorporating us
Right.
and
And
I think we're a bigger asset than a central,
They're up in Westlaco,
I
but
know.
we've been to the meetings and they usually don't address nothing directly to Laguna Madre, like, oh, well, we
I
got
mean,
some.
I think we're a little more
item for
important than
Laguna Madre,
Westlaco with
you
our
know,
the
ability of
regional-
water and money
Regional Water
and
Authority.
resources and stuff. I think we have a lot. I think we're being overlooked.
I
That's
can't
just
figure out
my-
what they have authority over.
It's mostly irrigation
Irrigation,
and
That's correct.
They have
So-
authority over the water master, river, water rights and all that.
Yeah.
I have a better voice than yours because you're a well-known man in the city, you know.
But I'm willing to go if
Yeah.
that's what it takes to get that, but just want to stress that. Okay, is there anything else we'd like to discuss? This is an open session or forum, it's a workshop, so we're easily can discuss whatever we'd like, anything.
The reason I had them in is because, the maintenance and, infrastructure that's breaking or corroding and this and that, that was in the study, in the proposal for the rate study, increase, the proposal increase. They were involved with all the information, the budgeting but as of right now, we just keep the information and when, we get the advisor, that's wherever, you know, you all decide to get like Dan Jackson or the other Jeff Snowden or somebody else that could give us a good price on it, you know, to do the study.
I mean, I'd like to move
Then
forward
we-
and keep
we
going,
can-
I don't want this
Right.
to be
Then
shelved.
we can come back and talk to them when you all approve, whoever it is. These guys can give us all the information again and review what we have already existing. And by that time, maybe something else transpires and we get more stuff, I don't know, from here to then. But within today and 1 month from today, a lot of things can happen, so.
But you know that the rate is a must, but we need to know how much.
Right.
Because, I mean, you need to raise, everything went up, everything's up. So how much?
That's what it is.
Those people figure it out,
Yeah.
Oh, but
that's
if you
right,
if you listen to
Very well.
everybody in the world that's smart, they'll say inflation's only at less than 2%. Well, I don't think they ever bought any gasoline, bread, or meat, or beer in the last year. Man,
That's correct.
what is your restaurant, what have your meat prices done in the last?
All this stuff goes up and all we have to do is absorb it. We can't raise the prices fast enough to keep up with the cost of
That's-
goods.
Yep, but eventually.
I mean,
you
that's
gotta-
the reality of it is,
You gotta push some of that down into the consumer, because we buy everything. We
That's
pay for
correct.
everything, us guys. The government don't pay for nothing until they take our money away from us. And they got plenty of money, right?
but the problem
But
you have
anytime your
is,
goods and services get to, any business that stays in business is going to make a profit, has to make a profit.
Stay in business.
When their costs go up, they have to raise their prices, which means that cost is passed on to us, the people. No other way, you're never gonna change it, it's the way it is. So
cost of
We
seafood,
pay
the
for
cost of
everything.
shrimp has doubled in 1 year, and you
A
can't,
year
you
ago, I
can't
was
raise
paying
the
$4 a
price
pound for shrimp. Now I'm
fair
paying
enough to
$8 for
compensate
shrimp.
it.
Yep, that's true.
Good thing for the shrimpers, but hey, the
So let's don't
consumers-
believe
Correct.
everything
Consumers
they
like
tell
us,
us.
that we love shrimp, we have to pay
If
for
you
it now.
guys wanna get
Any other
together
comments or
some other
anything before we
day
close this
informally,
meeting
I'll
out?
tell you where I think you're gonna be with your pension.
Adjourning the meeting at 10:10 a.m.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone again for their personal time, being here on Saturday and moving forward. Thank you.
No, ahora está ya, 8 bolas por el-